Welcome back, guys. It's not day 11 because it's going to be a shorter video today. Day 10, we focused on getting the trending videos listed in the homepage. That's what we did. That's done. So I wanted to do a deployment today. So I did a little bit of groundwork before coming to this episode because I knew that there was a little bit of a struggle when I was doing it the last time when I wanted to work with GoDaddy, and that maybe I did not get the right answers using ChatGPT. So today's episode is going to be a combination of, let's say, usage of ChatGPT as well as Stack Overflow, because I know the solution, what I'm looking for. So what we're going to do today is to use the CI/CD DevOps pipeline to deploy to GoDaddy. Interesting, right? Because that's possible, and that's possible using SSH deployment. That's what I'm going to show you today. So let's get started. If you look at it, we don't have anything right now in the public HTML folder, and that's a folder in GoDaddy file manager where you will see the files which has to be deployed for it to be reflected, let's say, in your domain. Let's say this, in my case, it's Let's Code Easy, the domain. It's saying forbidden, but because there is no file existing there. So that's what we're going to do. We are going to deploy this using, last time we did using file manager directly dumping like the legacy way, but then 2024 we have to use CI/CD to some extent. It's very difficult with GoDaddy to completely achieve that, but then yeah, we will try to do it. That's what we're going to do. So for that, to get started, we are going to use GitHub Actions. So it basically starts with let me delete, it's an older version of what I had done. So we need to start it with going to the root folder of the project and create a folder called GitHub, and then add something called another folder called workflows, and then have a file named deploy. It can be any name. I'm just calling it deploy.yaml file. So this is my deploy.yaml file. It does not have anything, but I already have a working version, so I'm going to just use that and maybe explain what happens within that file. So I'm going to just open an existing one using Sublime maybe. So this is the one which I have. I'm just going to copy all of that, not cut, but copy, Control C, and then paste it. This is a working version of the already tried out one. So I'll just explain what's going on here. Deploy Let's Code EC2. That's just the name of the whatever we are trying to do. It does not matter. Whatever you can give whatever you need. And then I was earlier trying in a different branch. So any commit to that branch was making a release. In that case, it was called features dev GoDaddy. But now I want to try it in the master branch. So I'm just going to rename this to branches to be master, because any commit I'm going to make now is going to the pipeline. It's going to run the pipeline, and pipeline is going to run because of this file. So GitHub Actions works with this folder structure. As soon as you have it in your root folder, if it identifies the YAML file, it just starts running. That's how it is automated. So next steps, let's say these are again users is nothing. Anywhere you see a users, it's just going to use some package or library to do stuff, which is anyway, we don't need to bother with that. But then these are the different steps which it uses. Runs on Ubuntu latest if it's configured in that. Checkout code, it uses a package called Actions Checkout version 2. Setting up PHP, it is using a package called Setup PHP version 2 built by this developer. And for my case, the version of PHP is 8.2. I'm using Laravel. So to check that, I just need to go and check in the Let's Code Easy, wherever my domain is, in the settings server. You can see 8.2 is my version. So that's what I have configured here. Then comes a different custom context. These are not custom, but default context, which is given, default configurations, which is given. You have then another deploy step called install composer dependencies, which does composer install. which is your normal the Laravel way of installing the dependencies, no dev optimize auto load. Then comes the next step, which is configuring your Node.js. I'm using version 22, but then I'm okay with the 20. And for that, it uses a package called actions.setup node. And that's what internally uses the pipeline, the GitHub Actions, to use the version of Node. And then comes another step, which is installing the dependencies of Vue.js. That is why it uses npm install. This step is what will install the dependencies for Vue.js using because again, it depends on Node. And then comes the next step, which you will see even in your package.json npm. It was wide build, I think, but internally it will just call npm run build, because it uses vit. We have a configuration for that, and that's what it will use for running this. But again, it is there within your package.json. So that's your package manager. Vit is what we are using. Deployed to GoDaddy. This is the step which is where the SSH way of deployment is happening, and this is the important one which has to be looked at. So these are already configured. It uses a package called Appleboy SPC Actioner Master for deployment using SSH, and I have already configured these secret keys in my GitHub. I can show you that if I go to GitHub and then go to my repo settings. Within the secrets, you just need to go to the secret section, and you can see I have 3 of it added. It's very simple to add. Just open this, add your 3 secrets. In this case, the 3 secrets which are used are basically what the script needs. The YAML file needs is the SSH host, username, and a private key. These are all coming from your GoDaddy. So how can you get it? You just need 3 things. One is go to the SSH section, access section, setup section, find your IP address, which is your host. This is the one. And then you also need the username, which is also available here. So these 2 information you can capture from here, and that's what you're configuring in your, let's say, as soon as you find it, just add it. So just add a key. It could be GoDaddy SSH host, the IP address, and the other one is the username. So you just need to enter those 2. And the third one is the SSH private key. This has to be generated so that it's very simple to do. Go to your GoDaddy and then go to your tools section, which is nothing but cPanel admin. Go to that and then go to the SSH access section, manage SSH keys. You can either you should not be having it if you're not already created. Easy as just generating it. Don't give a password, because the pipeline cannot run without having a password. So otherwise you will have to use some SSH runners or something, which is a little complicated. But for my simple use case, I just had to create the key name without the password with RSA2048, and it generates 2 keys, a private key and a public key. And all that you need to is, in the public keys, go to manage and then authorize it. That's one step you should do, so that anybody trying to get authorized can use this. So let's say in some you have already generated some key and then you want to deauthorize it later, you can even do that. So that at one point, if you feel there is a security threat, you want to validate it before you authorize it again, or you can even delete it and then regenerate a new one. But the point is, if you are generating a key, it will generate these 2 private and public key. You have to manage, authorize, and then the next step is to download your key. That's another step. And then once you download the private key, that's what you'll be using, because public key is for GoDaddy to keep a watch on where the request is coming from. So the private key is what the handshake happens between, let's say, the private key and public key, where it will understand, okay, this is a genuine request, and it will authorize. If it's wrong, if the private key is different, then it will not allow you to connect. So it's important to copy this, and then you just have to then create this. Just add it under the SSH private key so that this is kept secured in the secret section of GitHub Actions. Once that is done, go back to your script and then add these three like this. So if there is a if let's say there is a change, if it does not identify it, at least the IntelliSense will tell you that this is not the right key. So that's another way to validate whether the keys are right or not. It was in 22 port like we saw in the SSH manage section. Sources dot target, I will be deploying it in the public HTML folder. So if you go back, this is where I'll be deploying. So public HTML is the place where I want to deploy. So there is nothing there right now. There are some backups. I also kept an HTTP access, which I'll explain. This is important to be kept, and I could not find it using ChatGPT. I had to go search Google. I'm not an expert with usage of HTTP access. I had to take some help from let's say Stack Overflow, which might be relevant for a Laravel deployment in GoDaddy. So I have used that. So with this, I think then there is one more step, which is GoDaddy SSH. This is done, and then I also have one more step. Okay, this is more the step of deploy to GoDaddy. Then there are some SSH command to deploy PHP Artisan. It is deploying PHP Artisan cache clear. It's more clearing, but it's commented out. It's not really happening. So I think this is the place. Okay, target, and this is where it will deploy. This step is where the SSH command is getting executed, where the deployment to the specific folder of will happen for all the files. And I also have one step which was needed. We will have to maybe I'll show you, maybe commenting out this step. It will be self-explanatory, so I'm just going to comment this out and show why this step was added later. So I did not have it initially. It was ending at this place. So this is more or less your key structure. I mean, this is how it's going to work. With this, we will get started with the deployment. So I'm going to just do a deploy right now. It's very simple. I'll just call it as initial commit to deploy, but again, I have tried it out multiple times, so this is not really the initial commit. But again, just for the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to do that and show you whether the deployment will work or not. So let's go and check our pipeline. As you can see, there are already multiple runs which were tried out from my end. Some failed, recent one failed, which was again because ChatGPT prompted me wrongly and gave me some wrong suggestions. But I tried it earlier where it was working well. So that's the script I'm going to use right now. So if you want to go check what's going on, this is the different runs which is happening. All of these steps are already complete. Setting up node, installing composer, all of that is done. Now it is installing npm dependencies. Take a while. It failed. Let's check. Disk quota exceeded. I think it's because there are too many things in the trash, I guess. I think that's the reason. There's not enough space, I guess. Reload. Try deploying some of the stuff. There's not enough space. The one thing I can do is view trash. Maybe let's try clearing the whole trash. Select all, empty trash. I think trash is cleared right now. maybe I'll try to redeploy. For before that, let me clear off all these files. I think that too should be the reason, because I don't otherwise see a reason it should fail. Three files I want to keep is this, and then remaining. Okay, what happened? HD access this, delete. I'm gonna directly skip this step and directly delete. Okay, let's try rerunning. I think it should not. I can directly go and rerun the whole pipeline again. So go back. I can just say rerun the failed ones. Rerun jobs. So deploy. I think that was one step. I think it will go through faster right now, but then let's see. I'm hoping that was the reason that I did not have enough space. Okay, so you can see the pipeline run was successful. It's a green. So earlier that was a problem because I had too many things in the trash, because of which it did not have enough space to execute. That's sorted now. I think now this being successful, I'll show you the problem still we will be having, which is what the other last script will solve for you. So if I, let's say, reload, ideally what should happen is, I think I should not also have the HT access. Also, if I can rename somehow, let me just to show you what can be the issue. Rename the file. I'm just going to rename that to the text. Yeah, it's now htaccess.text, so it should not have an impact on what we have. So if it still says forbidden. So one of the reasons could be that this has to come outside. So public, whatever you see the index file, ht access, it also has an ht access, which is fine, but again this has to come out, or else we can use the one which already I'm having. So I'm not going to move this, but then if things to work, what we need to do is we need to move the all of these files outside, at least these three files. So that's what the script is doing here. Let's say if you look at this commented out script, it is moving these three files outside. So I'll just show you what happened. So I'll just move this. Three files are moved outside, and then if, let's say, you do, now you don't see anything, because the debugger, if you open at least console, it's not even showing anything. Yeah, so it's a 500. Again, there are some issues in the file. So if I go back, I'll show you what are the things still need to be taken care before it gets fixed. So if I go back, I need to change something, because again we moved outside. Because of that, we have to change the path. So vendor path is again a path which it's because it was earlier within, so we need to make this change. So with this change, I think we'll see a little more. It's not completely done. It is still showing. It is blocking some things, and this is why the ht access is needed. So I'm gonna let's say do one more thing. So it says 404, right? So let's check whether we need to copy even that folder outside. It was blocked. Ideally it's not blocked, but it's not able to see this path. So if this is the path, we should, I think, point to the public folder, because that's where it is. and that you can see the file now. So one of the ways to solve it is to modify the htaccess file which we commented out. So let's say I do this. Let's hope this is the reason. Still no. So it's still not finding this path. One more thing we can do is we can remove the htaccess from within the public folder too. Delete. Yeah, that solved it to an extent. That was one reason, but still you can see the videos are not loading. This is another issue. That's because it's giving an error. So if we go to the network, it's a 500. That means the response is coming. But okay, this is another problem which we can still solve. Why it's happening is because in my env I cannot directly you can see the env is in this case it's grayed out because it's a sensitive one. It's not part of the pipeline deployment. This is one step anyway we will have to do manually, that we copy even the env file to the location. So what we can do is I think this step was done. Okay, I think this is the dirty step which we had to do. But again, I think this is not needed anymore. I guess it will work with this, because without this, because the htaccess will take care of this. Let's refresh. Yeah, it's taking care of that. So that's the reason this is not needed. The htaccess is taking. Why it was an earlier problem was the default htaccess of Laravel was conflicting with the one which I was having here. This is a very simple htaccess. It looks like this. I don't know much of how it works, but then if you need, I can just keep it as part of let's say some of the repo. If you want to access, just let me know, I'll share it with you. But this has to be configured in the root section for the request to work. So this is one thing which we have to do. I found it while looking for solving this in Stack Overflow. ChatGPT did not help me there. So this is, so only thing which we now did is added this htaccess and remove the inside the one which was in the public folder. Remove that htaccess, and then we moved all of these files outside, which is the robot file, index.php, favicon, these three. So this is what we have to do to avoid that dirty work again and again. So that's the reason this step is also needed. It just does this, like it is moving after the deployment. It's just moving the files from within the public folder outside. And that's what this script does. It's a dirty one, but again, because of this dirty work, we also have to do one more change in our index, that we will have to keep two versions of it. That's the dirty one for dev. I have not found a solution otherwise until now. So maybe once I find it, I might post it in the comment section or in the description at least for dev. Otherwise, I'm just going to follow this, and one for prod. So prod will look like this and dev will look like this. So maybe because we are deploying, I'm just gonna enable the prod one right now. It has to happen in two places, one here and one over here. So these are the two places. We might have to keep it, one for prod. Prod one should be like this. Comment it out, because we are going to deploy it again with the at least the bare minimum of dirty work. So this step is also added. Now if let's say I delete all of the stuff, let's say minus this, okay, and one more thing which I'll show you after this step is done, because anyway that is an essential step anyways. This anyway my backup, these two are my backup, and then there was one more thing which is my this has to remain outside htaccess. I think again we'll have to go, maybe we can ask the public HTML not to have the htaccess, which I think we have it. That's the reason it's conflicting. But let's see. Once again, let's deploy and see whether it will conflict or not. So I'm going to delete all of this. Delete. Directly dump. Okay. Did I delete something more? This is fine, I guess. And one more thing I'm going to upload is the environment file, because of which the at least the videos were not added. Videos were not appearing. And that's because again, reveal in Finder. That's my env. I'm gonna deploy that. I'm not showing it because it contains sensitive information, and that's the same reason it should not go into your repo as well. So just directly even deploy this. So I think we should also be seeing that here, and this will solve the video not loading because two of the values has to come from the env variable. So we are manually deploying it here. If it was maybe if it was AWS, then we could have even stored it as the secret keys there, then it would have been even way more secure. But here we have to use this way itself for deployment. So I think now it will just be forbidden because you don't have it. So now let's go ahead with the deployment again with the changes. Deploying with the right config. I think this time around I'm hoping it just like that works. I'm hoping so. Maybe I don't know whether I'll have to delete the htaccess from within the public folder or not. Let's see that. But otherwise I'm hoping this could be the way, the maximum optimum way at least I have identified to deploy using a pipeline using GoDaddy. Okay, so that's deployed. Let's go first check the folder structure at least before we run the project. So if I go back, where are the files? Up one level, I think public HTML is the place. It has all the files including index.php moved outside. So if you, let's say we go to the public folder, you will not see that, but htaccess is still there. I don't know whether it will conflict. If let's say it conflicts, the other step we might have to add is to remove in even the htaccess from here, which could be added in the script again. So let's at least run and see once. It's not conflicting and it loaded the videos too, so it is good. I think the pipeline is now optimized. I can maybe push more and more changes right now without breaking anything, I guess. I don't know whether if let's say I without deleting, if I try, whether it will replace everything. That's something I still need to look at. But then again, I felt this is the most optimum one out of all the steps I had tried out. for deploying using a pipeline to GoDaddy server, which I think is working right now. So um, that's it. I pretty much have covered what I wanted to cover for this episode. It was a short one comparatively, but day 11, I think this is what I have. Deployment using GitHub Actions, CI/CD way to GoDaddy. I hope you like this episode. Share, like, and comment. You share your feedback. That's more important. If there is another better way of doing it, because I'm also looking at improving this, because again, I this is one of the ways maybe startups, or at least very small players who are maybe using GoDaddy and all, can have their own CI/CD configured. So that's pretty much from my end. Until the next episode, it's bye from